Hello, Michelle.
Hi.
Thanks
Thank
for
you for
coming on the
having me.
Yes, thanks for coming on the podcast. Y'all, Michelle is here. She's actually a former branding client of mine a
Yes.
couple of times when you were here
Yeah.
in Virginia, but more importantly, she is the founder of the CEO Legal Loft and she's a trademark attorney. And I was like, I'll need to get my girl Michelle on the podcast to talk all things legal because I feel like people they get into business and they kind of put that on the back burner. They're like,
Right.
oh, let me get my pricing and my
Right.
website, et cetera, et cetera. And some people forget about protecting their business, especially online business owners. So I thought, who better than to bring Michelle on to talk all the things. So thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome. I'm excited.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us how you got here? Because I remember when we first started working together for branding photography, I saw you were, a lawyer and all these things, and I'm waiting for like this buttoned up suit, pantsuit. And you
Right.
came in and you were like, I'm gonna be like your legal like best friend. Like I want to look like a vibe. And I was like, oh, this is the type of girl I want to work with. So how did you get to where you are?
Yeah. So in 1918,
Yeah.
2018, I quit my job with the federal government. I was in
Mm.
DC for a little bit. And, you know, this was before remote work was like what it is right now.
Yeah.
So trying to find a legal job when I was in Virginia, but barred in Florida kind of was just not going to happen.
Oh
And
wow.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I was like, you know what? My girlfriend she had opened her own law firm. I was like, okay, let me just try this out and see
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
if I like it. Heads up, I don't.
Right. Rude awakening.
And so I started, taking clients, all that good stuff. And then
Mm-hmm.
I discovered the world of digital products and I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can make money, like
Mm-hmm.
monetizing my expertise. Now
Right.
this is my vibe. And
Mm-hmm.
so in 2020, I opened the CEO Legal Law because I was like, I don't like practicing. Like when I was in law school, I knew I was like, this is not the thing for me. But
Right.
I like teaching
Mm-hmm.
around what I've learned because
Yeah.
it's not like taught anywhere really,
Right.
like for normal people. So, or
Mm-hmm.
business
Mm-hmm.
owners in general, unless they, making money and can hire a lawyer, which is really expensive. So I was
Yeah.
like, let me see if
It's
I can
and you're
get,
killing it. You have a bunch of things that people can just go and grab from your website. Like I feel like you were just saying, it's expensive to hire a lawyer, and some people, especially photographers in my community, will be like, "Who did you hire to do your contract?" And I'm like, "Girl, you can buy these things online
right,
from people who are in the field who know exactly what you need. Save your time, save your energy, save your money." And
right,
buy something that you can even customize. You can add things to it and
exactly.
make it your own. And so thank you for just like being such a resource and just giving those options for entrepreneurs. And so tell me a little bit about what you do as a trademark attorney.
So I do like trademark searches. I make sure that people are not already infringing on someone's trademark, which
Mm.
by the time they come to me, half the time they are. Like,
Oh,
they just
no.
waited a little too late. Or I'm like making sure that everything is good and like we can actually register their trademark with
Mm-hmm.
the United States Patent and Trademark Office. So that's my main thing. But then I also, work on people's contracts.
Right.
I do legal audits, making sure
Right.
everything is in place for them. So yeah, that's kind of my background on the law firm side of things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it is just, I mean, so many times it's like people are come to me. I'm like, yeah, we can't use this. Like, you cannot register this. It's
Oh
already been
man.
taken.
Man.
And it's like a double-edged sword because I know it's expensive to hire someone to do it for you, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, by the time maybe you get to that point, it's like too late. And now you have to
Right.
go through a whole rebrand if you want to actually, register the mark. So,
Right. This might be a silly question. I feel like everything I've done in my business the past few years, I just make it my name. Like my podcast, the Angie McPherson Show. I'm like, I don't
yeah.
have time to think of something else, nor do I want to go through and make sure someone has it. What, like I said, it might be a silly question, but when we use our name, and like I see people saying, oh, make sure to trademark everything, but do we need to trademark our personal names?
So you can. It's an
Okay.
option. I've done it for people.
Yeah. Do you
There's a
recommend it?
double-edged sword for it.
Mm-hmm.
So the double-edged sword is, are you going to sell this in the future to somebody
Mm-hmm.
else? Because then now you can't use your name.
Ooh, isn't that what happened with
Yes.
you know who I'm
The
talking
wedding
about?
designer,
Yes.
Paige,
Haley Page, maybe?
Haley Page. Yes, yes.
So she can't even use.
No.
Okay, walk me through this. Walk me through this. So her name was her brand.
Yes. And then
Why
she
can't she
she
use it now?
collabed with another company.
Mm-hmm.
And so that company was like, we own the Haley Page intellectual property, like that stuff.
No.
Yeah. And so now she can't even do like influencing outside of the wedding industry. Like she can't do any of that without
Oh my
their
gosh.
permission. So, I mean, I think that's kind of an anomaly because we've seen
Right.
people that, you know, Kate Spade,
Right.
she used her name, and
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if she had issues, but not from what I, off the top of my head, but
Jeez.
but
So
it is a double-edged sword to it.
yeah. So it's almost like if you are like a solopreneur and you're doing everything yourself, you're pretty much good. But if you are going into a partnership, maybe you should not maybe you should protect your personal brand before you even
Right.
sign a contract with that company.
Yeah. And
Okay.
make sure like you're actually reading the contract, because she
Yes.
could have negotiated that, she could
Mm-hmm.
have said like,
Mm-hmm.
no, because there are plenty of things that I have turned down because I'm like, no, I will not sign a non-disparagement clause. No, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
signing so that what is it, a non-compete. There was a bundle that wanted me to sign a non-compete that I would never do a bundle for 4 years. I was like,
Oh
absolutely
no.
not. Absolutely not. I never plan on doing a bundle because it's just too much work. I'm a lazy
Yeah.
entrepreneur, but like, but like, you're not going to take that away from me either.
Right. Yeah, it's really like you need to not only like look at the fine print, but also think long term. Like the money might seem
Exactly.
good today, but if
Right.
it's, I like this saying, like, don't trip over dollars trying to get pennies. Like
Right.
look long term. If the money looks good today, but think about your 3, 5, 10-year plan. If it's gonna stop you
Right.
from making money in different places or in your own business, you might want to, hesitate for a bit before you go signing
Exactly.
your life away.
Exactly.
can
Very,
you can
yeah.
you give us some tips on really just protecting your intellectual property, especially for online business owners, people who are like, oh, I've got a digital product, I've got a course, I've got this. All I got to do is just throw it up on a website, sell it, put together maybe some terms and conditions, and call it a day. Like, what are they missing? Like, how can they really protect themselves?
So I would say the terms and conditions is the like main thing of like what you want on your website, especially for digital products.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to make sure that the people understand what they can and cannot do with that information that you've given them.
Right.
And in one of my templates, I have a settlement agreement built into the terms and conditions. Like if you do something that I tell you you can't do, we're going to settle. Like I'm removing the license. You have to buy back the license for however much that I'm telling you. And then once you do that, I will let you can gain access back to it, or I revoke the license, and then they can gain access once they've, if they've shared it with all these people, So that's what I do. I bake it into my terms and conditions. And again, I sell a template for that. And then what else? Making sure you have your intellectual property listed.
Right.
Just making it clear to the person purchasing, like, this is mine. This is not like, you cannot do anything with it without asking my permission.
Right. I
Around
love
it.
that. And so let's kind of like segue this into like where those things need to be. So if you have, we can kind of break it up into like an online business owner versus someone who does a service.
Right.
What
so
pages,
different.
or is it all the same? What pages do we need, even like in the footer of our website, maybe on, checkout pages? What specific pages do we need? Because I feel like a lot of people are missing those pages.
So everybody needs a privacy policy if you're collecting information, regardless what, like everybody. That is universal. Everyone needs a certain type of terms and conditions. So a website terms and conditions, which is just around how people can navigate your website, what you allow, what you don't allow.
Let's take a pause right here, because a lot of people think the terms and conditions should really only be on a checkout page if they're selling a digital product or even something contributed to any sort of things that they buy online. But you're saying not only do we need a privacy policy on the website, like our actual official homepage, has nothing to do with the checkout page, but we also need terms and conditions for the website as well, even if we're not selling anything online. Got it.
Correct. So bloggers that usually, they're just blogging, they're not selling anything. They need to have website terms and conditions as well.
Right. That's so, and these are two totally different types of terms and conditions, because one is about your, what access they have to your product. And the other is just, like you said, navigating your website.
Exactly. And making sure that you, as the owner of the website, are kind of disclaiming what is on there. So for example, I have a legal disclaimer all over my website, because I want you to understand that I am not your attorney. Like, this is just advertising. That's it. Like, do not take this as legal advice. And that's why I say it's really hard to like universally say like what should be in this and that, because everyone's business is so different. And if you're a photographer, you're not going to have the same thing as a doctor has on their website, So
so privacy policy, and we're just talking about the homepage, or even all the pages, like the footer and all the pages. Privacy policy, terms and conditions, anything else?
It depends. Like, it's the most lawyerly answer, but it really truly depends on what you're selling. Like if you have affiliate links, you may need an affiliate disclaimer or disclosure. If you are, in the finance industry, there's like, I take this. This is educational,
right?
And this is not like financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor.
Wow. Okay, people, get it together now. Think about what you do. Think about what your clients and audience need to see, and get it together, because there are some sneaky people that will just be preying on your stuff. Like, let me buy this and find a loophole and do some sketchy stuff. So this is why I was like, let's talk all things protecting your business. And not only
that, speaking of people trying to find loopholes, there are attorneys out there. If you don't have an ADA compliant website, they're going to find that, and they are going to try to sue you for it.
Okay,
there's law firms that just do that. They look and see if your website is not ADA compliant, and then they sue you, and then they get a settlement, because most people don't want to go to court. And these settlements are like $7,000, $10,000, $20,000. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let's dive into that. We're not going to screw over that. Hold on. Because I'm over here taking notes. ADA compliant. Like, let's dive into that. What is that? I mean, I'm like, I need to look at my website.
So ADA compliance is essentially just, I think it's Title 3. I believe it's Title 3 of the code, and, people with disabilities have rights, and you should be accommodating those with rights. So now we always think of it like, the handicap signs or like walkways, And so now they have turned to websites and making sure that companies are, that disabled people have access to the website just as, able-bodied people would. So say you're blind, or, you have really low vision, you should be able to enhance the text. They should be able to enhance the text on your website so that they can see. There's like dark mode, light mode. You should have that capability on your website. And there's widgets that like help you with it. But the widgets can only do so much. Technically, you really should have it like, done by an ADA, advisor. But the widgets are kind of, to me, good enough, especially because these laws usually apply to like business owners that or companies that have a certain amount of like like it just applies to certain people. There's certain exclusions and all that stuff. But I'm always of the mindset, like, if a big company has to do it, you should be doing it too. Because it's probably going to eventually trickle down anyway to the smaller businesses.
Okay.
So
okay.
Better
That's
to be
definitely
safe
good to
than
know.
sorry.
That's good to know. That's good to know. So let's talk about, I have a lot of photographers that listen to this podcast, and I want to just briefly talk about photos. There's so many different directions I can go with this. I'm trying to think of what my community has, asked over the past couple of months. One of them is, and this happens to me a lot, people just posting my photos, like random meme websites or, other types of entrepreneurs who are just like picking up a stock photo, especially brand photographers. We have like stock photos, and people are picking those up and using them. Is that something where we can say like, hey, this is a cease and desist, stop using my photos? Or is it like, it's free reign, it's on the internet, so anybody has
absolutely
access?
not.
Right.
As soon as you've taken that photo, it's copyright. It's copyrighted.
Exactly.
And so the only way you can use it is if you have permission. Even your clients can't use it all free willy unless they've gotten permission from you. So
so if I get tagged and it's like, credit Angie McPherson, and this happens all the time, random Instagram accounts will post my photo with like a caption, like an overlaying text over it, talking about some inspirational quote, and then they'll tag me and say, photo credit Angie McPherson. And then what, Michelle? Tell me what to do.
So if it's on Instagram, you can tell them Instagram to take it down, the DMCA takedown notice.
Do I need can I just send them does this have to be like a formal letter, or can I just send them a message and that is doing, like, what is my due diligence here? Like, what legally should I do? Should I email them? Should I DM them?
So you can DM them. Most people are probably not gonna, well, I shouldn't say that. Some people will listen, some people won't.
Right.
If they don't take it down, then you can go to Instagram. They have a form that you can fill out, letting them know, hey, this is my photo.
Right.
I did not give this person permission. Take down this photo off their feed or whatever. And so that is how you are able to navigate that. And I've done it myself because people copy my page, and it's relatively easy. I mean, usually they'll take it down. Usually they'll take it down.
Let's talk about contracts now. So I would love to hear, what you think we should be including in contracts, especially as service providers. Like, what are some things that we might be missing in our contracts?
So I would say obviously you want to put in what service you're providing. You want to make sure that you have a payment, how much you're getting paid, when you're getting paid. Also late payment clauses.
Ooh.
And like what happens if they miss a payment.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Because I see a lot of photographers in my Facebook groups, my communities, they'll talk about these issues that they're having with clients. And I'm like, well, what does your contract say? And they're like, oh, well, I don't really cover that. I'm like, well, there's your problem.
Exactly.
Like, think about every worst case scenario,
right?
And put it in your contract so you don't have to have these conversations that you're literally just pulling out of thin air. It's like if someone is using your photos in the wrong way, or like you said, they might miss a payment, and you have nothing in the contract that speaks to what happens next. Really, what ground do you have to stand on at that point? If you haven't,
you have to like sue them.
Yeah.
Because there's really not much that you can do.
Right. But if you didn't include it in the first place, so let's break one example down. If someone does not put in their contract, what exactly happens when a client misses a payment date? If they don't have anything about that, and then the client misses a payment date, what is the next step?
You can obviously reach out to the client and make sure that they, pay you. But my thing is, I bake in my deliverables into my payment. So like if I don't get paid, you're not getting your deliverables.
Right. That's so funny. Someone emailed me and she was like, my client hasn't paid for my photos yet, and I've already sent it to her. And I'm like, first of
Why would you
all,
do that?
you should have gotten paid first.
Exactly.
Do not release anything, especially people that are, web designers, photographers, people who are giving an online deliverable. Do not deliver that until you get paid.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to be chasing people down. You don't want to be chasing people down for money. I've had people way back in the day, before I even got really deep into like the legal aspect of my business, they'd be like, oh, well, I think when I first started doing photography, I was like, you paid the day of the shoot. Oh my gosh, never again. Never again.
Right.
Who wants to be thinking about collecting money from a client on photo shoot day? I would literally have like, okay, the 50% retainer is due up front, and then the other 50% is due on photo shoot day. I see people doing that for photo shoots, for mini sessions, for different types of things. And I'm like, I don't want to be thinking about the finances.
Right.
Because then if your client doesn't pay and you both show up to the shoot, awkward.
Yeah, like, exactly.
With your hand out, like, can you pay me? Like, no, you're not going to do it. You're going to be a kind person and be like, oh, girl, I got you. I'll get you on the back end. And then good luck, sis, because it's a whole different story. Because after that, it's like, oh, well, I don't know. I know I didn't pay, but like, let me see the photos for, like, no. Get your retainer, get your balance, get everything due ahead of time so that you don't have this drama.
Exactly. And I would say another thing, especially with photographers, web designers. So there's two sides to this. So the photography side is, or like the service provider side is, make sure that you're making it clear who owns the intellectual property. Because if you want, so a lot of times people come to me like, I want to copyright my website design. I'm like, okay, do you own it? Because if you don't, we're not copywriting it, because you don't have the rights. Your website designer has the rights to copyright this website, not you.
Right. That is the perfect example. Yes, that's a perfect example. I love that.
You should be having an assignment clause or a licensing clause, depending on what you're trying to do. And the difference is, assignment clause is transferring the rights. A licensing clause is just giving them permission. And so assignment rights is what we, as like the person on the person receiving the deliverables, we want the assignment right. We want to own it. Whereas, sometimes the service provider is like, I want to own it. So they would, want they would include licensing rights.
Yeah.
But everything is negotiable too.
Right. Exactly. Because I'll have people say, hey, this client wants the copyrights. And I'm like, well, do they know what the difference is between licensing? You have to explain to them, like, you probably don't need copyrights. Like people, especially non-photographers, like, oh, I just need the copyrights to this. They don't understand the difference between having commercial usage, right?
Exactly.
Versus actually owning the photos. And this is for my photographers out there. If you want to give up those copyrights, you better charge lot of money, like thousands and thousands, because you're giving away the ownership. And even if you decide to do that, you need to have an ironclad release, because some people will say, like, I want the copyrights because I don't want you to post those photos anymore, not for marketing, not for this, not for that. I'm going on a Netflix show and Netflix wants these photos. Like, okay, make sure you are protected and make sure that you are being paid well for this, because a lot of people don't know that they think they want it, but they don't. And then some people do. And if they do, they'll see the value.
Exactly.
Charge accordingly.
Because I always tell my photography, anybody who's doing going to display their portfolio, I'm like, if these people say that they don't want to be a part of your marketing materials, charge more.
Ooh.
You're allowed to do that.
Okay. Hot take. Hot take. So you're saying if someone, because I've definitely had this, like, not in the branding world at all, because people are like, no, put my photos out there so I can get more reach. Exactly. Before I pivoted to branding, I've definitely had wedding clients or portrait clients that are just like, I don't want to be on your social media.
Yeah.
I don't want to be
Yeah.
on your website. And you're saying that's okay. Like I need to have an added fee because it's
Fine.
kind of
Exactly.
taking away marketing
Yes.
opportunities for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Michelle, can we play a game? Are you down to play a game?
Sure.
Okay. So the name of the game, there is no name of the game, but the game is I want to give you a couple of examples of types of business owners, types of entrepreneurs. And I would love for you to tell me like the one thing, like if they're listening, the one thing they need to make sure they have in their business legally.
Okay.
Like something they
Okay.
might be missing, something they need to make sure they have. And this can be any part of the legal sphere. It can be on their website, on in their terms and conditions, in their contracts, whatever.
Okay.
Like I'm going to give you a type of entrepreneur and you're going to say, oh, this person absolutely needs this. Okay.
Okay.
So let's just start from where we were talking photographers. If you give one tip, like you need to make sure you have this.
Licensing,
Yeah.
licensing or assignment all the way. That intellectual property is your bread and butter. That is essential.
Okay, perfect. All right. Someone in the health and fitness field.
I would say a release. Like if they are, is it a release? Gosh, is that the name that I'm looking for? Hold on, give me a second. Oh, assumption of the risk. That's what I'm like.
Assumption of the risk. Okay.
Yes.
Because,
so basically, like if you're doing my workout,
Yeah.
you may get injured, and you're going to assume the risk of getting injured by following this. By following my workout.
That sounds like those pool signs. That's like swim at your own risk. Like we're gonna give you this pool,
Yeah.
but if something happens to you, don't even try it.
Exactly.
I love that. Okay, next up is a product maker, like a physical product maker who is shipping things out, jewelry designer, accessories, things like that.
Their freight, they should have some type of like freight clause. So for shipping, if somebody doesn't receive their product, like what happens?
Oh, okay. That's really good. That's really good. Where should that be?
And I was the terms and conditions. So like their website terms and conditions or purchase terms and conditions.
Perfect. Okay. Let's do someone with digital products. So online courses, memberships, Shopify items delivered digitally.
I would say, again, intellectual property. So their intellectual property clause, their copyright notice as well. Anything surrounding intellectual property, again, that is going to be probably the most important aspect.
Okay, last one, a freelancer. So someone who doesn't have their own business, but they are doing side gig work. Like how can they really protect themselves? Number one thing.
Because I'm thinking for them, it's their work for hire clause. Like if they have one or not, because that again contributes to their intellectual property. So like, do you want the company to own what you've created or are you keeping it for yourself?
Yeah. So basically all this comes down to intellectual property.
It really is. It's like all the stuff that's up here needs to be written down because it's intangible. It is intangible. And like, how can you protect that if it's like not a physical thing?
Right. Oh, this is so good. This is so good. This is so helpful. And I'm like, I've got some homework. I've got some homework and I feel like everyone listening, they probably picked up a couple things like, all right, I need to make sure I get this, make sure I get that. Can you tell us about what we can get from you? If people are listening and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm missing all this. Like, just give me like a laundry list of what my listeners can get from your website that'll save them time, money, and help them to protect their businesses.
So, okay, I'll just go with privacy policies. I have that. I have website terms and conditions. I have your digital product terms and conditions. I have service provider contracts. I have affiliate marketing contracts. Like if you have your own affiliate program, independent contractor. So if you're hiring an independent contractor for your business, there's that as well.
Yeah.
Gosh. And then I have like workshops and trainings to work through. So I have like a sales training, like for legal sales, like so that you're not violating the FTC.
Oh, wow.
And then I have the CEO Legal Kit, which like is the first digital product that I ever created.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. And I still have it around. Like most people like retire their stuff. Like, no, that is the one thing that like has like is stuck around.
Yeah,
and
because it's like the foundation. It's like what people
it
need,
is the
especially
foundational.
people who are just getting into business, or they're getting into a different stage of business where they're like, oh, I really need to protect what's happening here. Like maybe they've hit a certain revenue goal, or they're pivoting into a different niche, and they just have not had the legal like foundations to really protect themselves. I feel like anyone listening right now, whether you started your business 6 months ago or 6 or 16 years ago, you're probably like, okay, I need to add this to my business. And so I just want to thank you. Thank you for sharing all of this goodness with us. We're definitely going to share your website and all that. Michelle, any final words to help people to kind of take action to protect themselves, even if you want to like fear monger some people?
I would say honestly, it's not as hard as it seems, because especially like I feel like in our space, rarely are you like making like these $1 million contracts that are like going to make or break. Like this is more, usually it's you're working with other entrepreneurs, like you're not working with like a whole corporate team. Usually you're kind of working with other entrepreneurs. So the communication is a lot easier, and you don't have to worry as much about just like those $1 million issues, right? And so it is easier in that aspect of like, okay, it's not like a make or break up for your business. It's just getting started. And you know what? If you've made a mistake in your contract, which I have done, I've made mistakes in my contract. You can change it. This is a living document. Somebody didn't pay or somebody didn't pay you, and now you don't ever want that to happen again. Guess what? Go add this to your contract, because it's never going to happen again. It's
you're so right.
Because I had to start charging people for getting things to me like a day before deadline. Like your emergency, I mean, your lateness is not my emergency. Like that's not my problem. So I'm like, you need to give it to me a week before. If you if you deliver this to me a day before, you're getting charged a rush fee.
Oh, I like that.
You're getting a rush fee because now you were making me stay up till midnight tonight when I get off at 5 or whatever time.
You're so right. You're so right. You're so right about it being a living, breathing document, because I've been in business for 11 years, and I'm always learning, every client experience, every workflow, every, win, every fail is a lesson. I'm just like, okay, how can I fix this for the next time so that this never happens again, or so that I'm never more protected? Yeah. You're exactly right.
Oh, and then a big thing I would say that I didn't talk about was communication policies. Add it to your contract. Do not have people texting you at midnight on a Saturday. Like, don't.
You're right. Because then if they do, you can be like, per the contract, please do not text me after 5 o'clock.
Right. Or we're going to terminate this. We're going to terminate this contract. Like, don't.
Oh man.
That's the biggest thing for me that I've learned boundaries, heavy boundaries.
Yes. Necessary.
Now being in business. Yeah. Necessary. Because before I'd be like, oh, it's okay. Like you can text my phone. Like, don't text me. Do not text me on the weekends.
I need to get to the level because I'm just like, okay, well, like, let me just get back here after the kids are down.
And I always I know I'm in a lot of attorney groups, and that's a big issue that they have, especially like family lawyers and like criminal lawyers, because their client, it's a high stakes situation. Right. So they're always like, my client is texting me this time, but within like my business lawyer community, we set hard boundaries. Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
That's good. Michelle, thank you so much. Where can we find you on Instagram and your website?
So you can find me at www.theceolegalloft.com. And on my website or Instagram, it's the trademark attorney _.
Perfect. And I will put that in the show notes and also the link so everyone can join your email list so you can give out all the goodness and check out all the resources. So Michelle, thank you so much. I'm excited to share this with everyone and have everyone to start making some moves to better legally protect their business. So thank you, Michelle.